top music attorney, Miss Krystle, and this is the Music Business Podcast where I teach you how to build your music business and get it to six figures while staying legally protected. So happy to be back, the official episode 2 of season 3. As you guys are filing in the chat, be sure, as always, let me know where you're checking in from and how you doing. All right. So, as always, we want to make sure if you are not on the newsletter, make sure you get on the newsletter, Top Music Attorney. Now, the best way to get it is you can just click the link. I think it's down in the description for my free PDF, which has some of my best tips as far as kind of crushing the music business. Get that. It's free. And then when you sign up, then you are automatically added to our newsletter. But if you want to go directly, you can go to topmusicattorney.com where you can be added. Hey, all right. So yes, as you guys are signing in, where are you coming in from? Houston. Very nice. Perfect. All right, here, Mr. Producer. I'm gonna let you handle that. Greetings from New Hampshire. Awesome. All right, let me do this. All right, guys. So on tonight's show, we have a whole lot jam-packed for you. And I'm gonna give you, of course, a music business tip. We have the news segment, all the things. New Zealand. So my mom's from New Zealand. I'm a Kiwi. Yeah, so we have all the things as far as entertainment news stories. I'll go over those here in a second. So just a random question. As far as kind of productivity hacks, something I'm always trying to kind of level up on for those of you who run your own businesses or, running your music career. What are some productivity hacks that you have yet to try? Okay, interesting question. That you have yet to try, that you want to. For me, there are two that I'm interested in. And one of them, AZ, hey. One of them is putting my phone in another room. Canada, what's up? Putting my phone in another room, right? So as I'm doing whatever the activity is, but actually having my phone completely in a different place. And so there's a actual effort that's required for me to go and get the phone. Not that I'm finding that I'm like scrolling social media or that I'm wasting time, but just something I'm curious because I do check my phone as far as updates and things like that. And so if I can kind of stay focused. So number one is just putting the phone in another room for a period of time. And number two, to have scheduled deep work every day. Now, I heard someone mention, maybe until like 11 a.m. if you're running your own business, something like that, basically telling your team, hey, this is my deep work time. I need basically just to hyper focus. And then we can kind of powwow and do, little huddle meetings and that kind of thing. And for me, I've never done that. And so I find that kind of running my own businesses, it's resulted in me being very reactionary all throughout the day, right? Because someone needs something, someone has a question, especially as you build a bigger and bigger team because you have a lot of people. So, right. So in any case, that's not something I've really implemented as a hard line. And I'm like, that'd be interesting. I'd just be curious to see if that kind of allows me to focus on the big picture stuff and moving things forward. You guys know I'm very much into how can we focus on the needle moving activities for ourselves, our careers, our businesses, and so that we aren't just necessarily being productive. My phone needs to be out of reach or else I won't get anything done. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. And for me, it's funny. I migrated in 2020 to WhatsApp, right, for my business and personal. And it's just because it's so great for communicating. I do tons of voice memos and I'm always on the go. And so it helps with just communicating a lot of information to someone quickly, including team. So anyway, I'm finding that WhatsApp is kind of a distraction though, because obviously that's, again, questions coming in throughout the day. Would you ever do a duet with Lindsay Sterling with your cello? How could I say no, Thomas? All right. Yes. So look, if you want to have the Linds, give me a call. Let's see what we can do. But anyway, so just with WhatsApp, that's the only thing I'm not sure on because it's on my actual computer. So on my desktop, so I'm getting the notifications. So I'm like, I have to figure out this deep working, how that's all going to happen. So in any case, we're going to run the intro as you guys are continuing to file in. Thank you so much for being here. Your beautiful faces. Appreciate you very much. We'll get into newsy stories, the business tip, all the things. In fact, I started this in the wrong section of my program a few minutes ago. That's why I was late. I actually started talking to you guys and you weren't even there. I'm like, what's going on? Anyway, you are here. I'm here. Let's run this and I'll be right back. Hi guys, I'm top music attorney Miss Krystle. I'm an entertainment attorney, public speaker, and creator of the Top Music Attorney School for artists and record labels. I'm the owner of Dukes Up Records, and most importantly, I'm an independent artist. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss my weekly videos giving you my best tips on the music business, industry news updates, and teaching you how to stay legally protected. Eric, mine would be daily or having daily times to focus entirely on writing lyrics and honing the vocal lines. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about as far as do all the things you got to do, right? But is there a way to do it so you can really, really hyper focus in on it? Because there's things that you just have to do that are reactionary, right? You're involved with people, you're talking to people, or you're responding to things. It just is. And so if you don't have time set aside otherwise to sit down and actually write, to sit down and work on that specific thing, then there's always something else. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of trying to build your own, let's say, music business, right? To build your own music career. So I get it. And so as I'm kind of working through these things for myself, I just like sharing because as I find hacks, like life hacks that really work for me and help me to increase my income, the reach of what I'm doing from my business to my music to all the things, I like to share it. So anyway, that's why I mentioned it. Hey, we got a new musician in the house. Love that. Welcome, welcome. All right. So for our entertainment stories that we're going to be jumping into, one of them has to do with copyright. Copyright has just been running my life this week because I have ongoing litigation cases, litigations where you go to court, you have a judge, you have a jury, you have all the things. And for one of the cases, it's about copyright. And so we're digging, into kind of these complicated copyright questions, and we get into things like damages, right? Whether you get what are called statutory damages. I'm being asked a question of what a password is. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Like I'm literally in the middle of the show now. This is from the producer. So I'm going to type the password because, we're not doing anything right now. So there we go. Let's see if hopefully I remembered the password. This is what happens. Like I'm on the call with a client. We're like doing a $3 million deal. And then someone's like having a crisis over on WhatsApp. And I happen to see it, which is terrible. If you see it, you feel like you have to respond. It's terrible. In any case, let me know if that password works. What was I saying? Yeah. So, for the copyright case, as I'm learning more, litigating these copyright claims, it's so important, guys. If you're a musician, artist, producer, I'm always like, make sure you copyright your stuff. Well, it's not just you have to copyright in order to utilize an actual court to enforce your copyright. Okay, it's a prerequisite. We don't just do this because it's fun. We do it because we actually need to in order to get into the court. But there's an additional layer to this. You get what are called statutory damages and attorney's fees, meaning the law says here's a chunk of change that you get automatically if someone violates your copyright. So that's super great, right? But you don't get that stuff if you don't timely register your copyrights. And there's different rules for what applies. But generally speaking, I think the rule that you should think about is that try to register your copyright as soon as possible, but a minimum, like as soon as you release the song, right? I know a lot of you have like hundreds of songs. You're like, oh, should I register everything? Sure, do it. It's great. But sometimes we don't want to register everything. We don't have time to do that. So as you're at least releasing music, make a note as far as your release plan to copyright your music with that release. That's what I do. That's what makes sense for me in my business. So I thought I would share. But anyway, so we're going to be talking about copyright. And, a lot of the AI stuff keeps coming up because I think the last one, it's that super trendy app that was going viral. And so everyone was doing the different paintings of themselves via the AI in the app. And so we were talking about, and we'll get into this with that Orko, but talking about, well, are they just stealing other people's paintings, right? And kind of superimposing your face into it. And so now we have another issue that came up because someone tried registering something for copyright that was based on AI generation. Okay. So that's number one. Number 2, there's something else. What are we doing? Oh, yeah, we're doing a catalog sale. Justin Bieber, we were like, "Oh, this is gonna be crazy," and it was crazy. And his catalog sold for a lot of money, and we're gonna talk about it, okay? And besides that, of course, I got my super amazing music business tip for you guys. The new mission for this channel, and I'm gonna say it through the entirety of 2023, is we are learning how to build a music business and specifically how to become our own music business. The way I used to say it, and I still kind of do with like my courses and things like that, let's learn how to become our own record label. Because I think a lot of people understand when we say a record label, what does the record label do? The record label makes you a star, right? They know marketing. They know how to get the shows together. They know how to do collabs. So it's more of just that mindset of how can we do this for ourselves? How can we make ourselves into six-figure businesses? So we're doing this like in our sleep because, I'm like, six figures. Oh my goodness. What if you were making $100,000 or $200,000 from your music? And you might be like, wow, that sounds like a lot. And what I can tell you is that, since I've done this for a very long time, not just for myself, obviously, but, for all the clients and students that I work with, it's really amazing and it's not that hard. That's the key. It's not that hard if you learn about the business, learn how to do it. And so that's why I'm just so passionate about this. And I love what I do. And I love that you guys are here. So, in any case, we're going to jump over and we're going to bring in that Orko so we can talk about some newsy things. And we'll see if the password worked. All right, here we go. Hey.
Hey, shout out to the community. Thank you guys for being here. Hopefully my picture is clear. I got a whole new setup system, which I can see on my second monitor that it is not. So I'm a little blurry to you guys. So I'm sorry. Let's work through this together. New
That's
setup,
right.
still working out bugs in the new
Well,
system.
here, speaking of WhatsApp, I sent you the link for the show. If you want to maybe join from your phone, you're welcome to. Where
Yeah, we
we
can
can
try
see
that.
you are a little blurrier than when we last spoke.
Yeah, it's been
What do you got that
crazy.
who does like mad blurs in their music videos? I feel like we need a reference here.
But it's crazy
Like,
because on my end, it looks unbelievably clear. Like it's the clearest it's ever been since we've done this. And I was actually pretty stoked. My image is like, oh, you're gonna be jealous because my side looks better than your side today, but it just does not on the
yeah. So new computer upgrades, lots of great things happening. Thank you for those of you who are
Hold
filing
on.
in. I muted your new one so we don't have feedback. So get yourself situated. All right. So while he gets himself situated here, I'll even turn off your camera so people can't see you and you won't be embarrassed. So while he turns that off, and as you guys are continuing to file in throughout the show, be sure to let us know where you are checking in from. So, I'm in Arizona and it hasn't actually gotten much colder, right? We're at the end of January. We should be starting to kind of, go the other way. I'm finding that it's just so freezing. And I know I'm ridiculous for those of you who live in other parts of the world, because it's just like really miserable. And as I've been on this journey of taking cold showers, I shared this with you. For those of you who don't know, I'm doing the cold shower thing. It's really become quite painful, but I'm still doing it because the water got considerably more cold than where it was. Massachusetts, south coast of England. Hey, nice. Yeah, so anyway, I think we're like, 3 weeks into the cold shower thing, and it's supposed to really markedly help to reduce your stress, right? And so you kind of go through the stress response in the morning and you overcome it and do like, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever you can kind of stand, and then you're kind of a badass for the rest of the day. That's how I kind of see it. Um in any case, I'm doing it. I don't know. I feel like I need to do things for like several months and then kind of, see how it's going. So far, I've noticed with my stress watch, which I'm not wearing right now because it died. But I'm noticing that there's definitely some dips down with the stress meter and how I'm doing and this and that. So I do see that there's an effect happening, and I kind of enjoy it. I kind of like going through that experience every morning. So anyway, I'm weird. I'm doing it. I know a lot of you also are doing it, and especially for the ones who have been doing it for like years. You're pretty badass and you're inspiring me. Tim's going to try it. Yes. That Orko even like he was taking a shower and he goes, I decided to give it a go, even talking about it so much. And he goes, I got into it like 10 seconds. I'm like, no. So yeah. All right, let's check in with that Orko. He's saying this is not better. Maybe it's the internet. Let's see. Let's check the second cam.
Hey, let's try it again. So I don't even know where I'm looking on this camera. All right, so can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a little blurry. I can hear you fine. So let's go for this because I feel like it's still a little bit better than your
Give me one
front-facing
more.
one.
Give me one more option. Just give me one more thing. Let me try one more thing.
All right, he's gonna try one more thing, guys. My rings are shiny. Yes, they are. All right, so let's give you a little value while we're giving him another 3 minutes to kill here. When we get to the music business tip, I'm hyper focusing today on sync licensing. It's something that I've been talking about with my students a lot, but as far as just something that we've covered on this channel, I definitely want to break it down because there's always new stuff. How do we get our music into TV and film? Or if you are a record label, if you are a music business and you represent other people's music, how do you get the stuff into the Super Bowl, right? How do you get a song into an Apple commercial? Which, by the way, one of my students just got a placement, and I think he was saying, I forget how much it was, something like $50,000, right? $60,000 for like one placement. So that's why people are very attracted to working specifically with sync licensing and getting music into TV and film. So that's why we're focusing on that today. Aw, what's up, Corpsey? Aw, that's nice. Special love. Yeah, so that Orko, you ready? Shall we try again?
Is that better or worse?
I think that's fine. I think
Okay.
let's I'm happy with what we're
Let's
seeing.
just ride it out.
We're gonna move on. All right, guys. First up, we're going to be jumping and talking about the super sexy stuff, and that is music catalog sale, publishing sale. We're going to talk about all of it. So let me pull this up right now. Justin Bieber closes his $200 million sale to Hypnosis, and this is the biggest deal to date, particularly because of his, they say the generation, but just the fact that as we've been covering these really big music catalog sales, they're usually more legacy acts. Justin Bieber is not quite there. So
way more new school.
Yeah, so for 200 million, again, it's Hypnosis. We have covered other deals that they have done, but this is definitely the biggest one. And it's 100% of his publishing. So just real quick, guys, on this, when we sign with record labels, the record label owns the sound recording, right? It's the actual audio file, the recorded version of the song. But when we do the deals, the artists retain what's called publishing. Publishing is for the composition. So all you need to know is that there's kind of like two copyrights. The record label owns the song. The artist still gets paid an artist royalty, which is usually small, let's be honest, as well as they keep their publishing. So that's what's been sold for $200 million. What do you think?
I think it's incredible, and shout out to Justin Bieber for making it happen. Who knew a kid that kind of started out from what I believe like on YouTube, just like playing doing his covers and doing his little thing, and getting picked up and being mentored by like Usher, and I don't know, man, he's had an incredible career. And in the days of where your money could be taken away from cancel culture or this new thing, he's cashing out now, and I mean I kind of think it's kind of smart. Enjoy your cash.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Wait, it's a matter of time before you're getting canceled by someone.
For real, or just just something. And this way, he gets all of his earnings now. Who knows if Justin Bieber, they say with these newer acts, because they are newer, their music hasn't been tested since like the 70s, since like the 60s, so it's known to be classic. Who knows? And if in 10-15 years, if Justin Bieber falls out of favor, his music might not be worth as much later. So it's a good thing that I mean that's a high price. I mean it's the first, I think, under 70 that got something like that.
Yeah, so I do a lot of these deals as far as music catalog sales. And so what I can tell you is that in the valuation, the way it works is that we're looking at how much money the catalog is making. Then we do a multiple of that catalog. It might be something as small as 12, It could be as high as 21, let's say. I know Hypnosis has said that they'll do a multiple of like 21, 22. So they're on the higher end. So bottom line, they go, this is the amount of money that we think that we're going to make over so many years. This is our investment. And so that's how they come up with the purchase price. And so to your point, they usually like, when it comes to, investment groups, they usually like more legacy music because they know it has already withstand the test of time. They're, these legacy acts, probably if they would have been canceled, it would have happened already. So basically they're good to go. So that's why it's kind of exciting that, not just with Justin Bieber, but we just covered Iggy Azalea, right?
Yep.
So, she
Another
sold her catalog.
younger.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of those things, and Hypnosis has been going big because they got Justin Timberlake, they got that Leonard Cohen, Nile Rodgers, Kenny Chesney, Neil Young, Nelly Furtado. I actually didn't know about the Nelly Furtado, but I don't know. That's pretty crazy. So that's the whole goal, isn't it? I mean, you're building your catalog up. You're doing all these releases to have them earn money, and when they are part of these big package deals and stuff, songs that all of a sudden maybe didn't do so well are getting high dollar because they're a part of this
That's a good point.
package.
That's a good point.
It's a way. It's just a really good opportunity, and it's cool that there's things like this that happen. I'm sure you're going to be hearing Bieber everywhere now, as if you don't already. So I don't know. Shout out to Biebs, man. I like it.
Kind of a random question, but we'll just answer it. Do Bob Marley's band members receive royalties? So when it comes to just bands and generally, it's interesting because band members sometimes kind of get screwed, right? So they might just be kind of a hired gun, meaning they just got paid for some touring or some studio time. That's very, very common, especially, depending on what territory of the world you're in. But in any case, usually a band member doesn't get royalties or the right to do anything until they've been in the band for a long time. They fight, negotiate. And so the answer is usually yes at some point, but it might be very small because again, the standard rule with the music industry is that record labels own the music that they sign. And so if they own the music, the only thing that the musicians are getting are royalties from the publishing, which is, again, different from the sound recording. And usually it's quite small, right? So we have artists who will be making something like 14% of net. So anyway, it's it can get very complicated. We hope everyone is getting paid, but obviously, everyone makes a lot of money off of these artists and the artists get the least. That's just how it works.
And even on this channel, we've covered kind of these things, what you should do if you're in a band and you are contributing, to your music and stuff. We have videos explaining kind of how split sheets work and why maybe you shouldn't just go to the internet and just kind of get a quick split sheet. We kind of show you how you should work your deals with your bands and have these conversations with your bandmates ahead of time. Now, if you're just a hired gun coming in and they have stuff, already written for you and you're just kind of replaying it because they had it, on synth, whatever, and maybe you're playing bass and you're coming in and replaying it, or are you writing parts? These are things that you should just, kind of consider when you're going into these things, and never be afraid to express your concerns. And it's never too early to have these conversations.
That's right. Never too early to have the conversations. All right. Moving on real quick back to the chat. For those of you filing in, where are you checking in from? How you doing? Winston. Oh, see, it's so nice. We're seeing some of the faves. What's up? What's up? Glad for you guys to be here. All right, so moving on to the next story. Let me pull this up. All right, so the U.S. Copyright Office, the way it works, you make the thing, right? So if it's a song, you make a book, you make a film. Right. As soon as you actually create it, you have copyright automatically. So that's the great news. The reason why we actually go and register with the Copyright Office is because it gives us all these additional benefits. It's a prerequisite if we want to actually sue for copyright infringement, meaning you got to do it first. But then also, if you do it way too late, you might miss out on statutory damages. So basically, the law says you get big chunks of change if you sue and there's been copyright infringement, all these things. So the Copyright Office is probing registration. So they're looking at whether they want to cancel a copyright filing for an AI-generated graphic novel. Okay. So as of the recording of this episode, we're waiting for a determination from the Copyright Office. But basically, they're saying the person who made this graphic novel relied on AI. And so there was not an actual human participating in the creation of the thing. And that's required, right? So under the Copyright Act, they say there must be at least a modem or yeah, so at least a modem or a very small amount of creativity in the creation of the thing. And so we've had conversations on prior episodes talking about like if someone accidentally started recording themselves and they
Mhm.
created a video, do they have copyright in that thing? Because even though they made it, they didn't mean to make it. So there's all these little nuances. So back to the question of, well, just because an AI created something, well, you clicked the button, shouldn't you
Right.
have copyright ownership? What do you think?
I think it's kind of crazy. I think in the case that we're talking about, I think she used that program Midjourney, which we were talking about when we were talking about the Lensa app, just these AI programs where you just you type in the things, the criteria of what you want, and it'll generate artwork for you. And so I don't know if the creator of this graphic novel like wrote a story. I think they maybe wrote some of the story, and then they just had the actual, the comic graphic novel aspect of it being drawn by Midjourney. But I think it's really complicated, and because I don't know what is it going to come to a point where AI, I brought this up before, are AI going to have rights at some point, and this is how we bring about Judgment Day because of just things like this? Because you're right, am I going to get copyright because I put the criteria of I want something post-apocalyptic, I want reds and greens, I want it to be inspired by just Resident Evil and all this stuff, and they give me something kind of but with like a clown aspect to it, and all of a sudden there's these clown zombie blue things that are running around. Do I get copyright because I put in the criteria for the AI to generate the images that I want? um I don't know. I think it's a dangerous path, and then you get into music aspect of it too, and a lot of
Yeah.
AI music is going to be using for sync because it's a lot easier to pay artists for to pay AI and just generate the kind of vibe you want than to pay someone to actually make something, whatever. But I don't think AI music is necessarily there yet. You need that human aspect.
Skynet. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Who loves Resident Evil more than me? And B, who else has been watching The Last of Us?
So good. So
So
good.
good. All right, I digress. Bree says, but isn't there creation in what you feed the AI? Good point.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
it's very specific to what we're talking about. So in this case with the graphic novel, they're saying the important piece of this is whether a human actually did it. If a human didn't, then we can't say that there's copyright that attaches to it. So then we look at, well, even with the app, right, that was generating images that went viral based on portraits. And so they're saying the AI, well, in the program, they're using paintings that other people created. And then,
Yeah.
that's copyright infringement in itself. But at the end of the day, the end result was still based on someone else's picture, right? Did they make it? So that's why this is so interesting to kind of follow, because right now it's a little clearer. I think that we can say, because no human actually participated in the creation of the graphic novel, then it's an uphill battle for the creator. But I don't know what goes
But
into
then how do
that
you
process.
sell it? You know what I mean? Then does the creator of the AI program own copyright because they created the program that creates the AI? You guys are really trying to bring about the end of days, I'm telling you. Because what you're gonna have is what's gonna make the pathway is these little legal precedents that happen in ruling in these cases. And if an AI can create, whole comic books, the whole music, whatever, it's gonna be a matter of time before AI creates businesses, to run the AI, because that's just an extra little tweak in programming to where now the AI is commanding other AI to create things. So it's like a system, like a turnaround system. So it's just like bulk. So nobody's actually sitting there anymore putting in the things. The AI knows what kind of product needs to come out. Then there's a whole AI company into itself, and we just keep giving AI rights and based on these laws. So it's gonna be crazy. I'm telling you. Watch how this world is in like 10 years.
Well, and if you want to even get more cerebral about it, right, or to just speculate, I remember hearing someone talking about, well, let's talk about extraterrestrial life, right? So if we are not
Mm-hmm.
the only existence in the entire universe and there's maybe more advanced life somewhere else, well, at some point, could they have developed AI? and so far as to replicate humans, right? The likeness of some other kind of form. And if so, wouldn't it be reasonable to assume that they wouldn't send themselves to
Right.
kind of, investigate our species? And so wouldn't it be reasonable to assume that maybe the people around us, or some people, are actually the aliens that are AI because they're more advanced and they figured it out well before us? Interesting. I don't know if any of you are into
Well,
that stuff, but
I mean, just look at it like this. So in my lifetime, I've seen the old Ataris, and I've seen these new crazy Xbox to like these, to 3D video games and all this kind of stuff that you can get into just as fast as technology progresses. And when you start incorporating AI so it can, keep learning and teaching itself, and it just starts writing its own code, I think that's when you're going to get into some crazy stuff, because it's going to do is just keep advancing. I mean, it's just insane how fast technology goes that we can't even keep up with it, and the law definitely can't keep up with technology. We haven't even got all the regular music stuff completely straightened out from being on streaming. So I don't know. It's you're going to see some real interesting times, and as we keep advancing our smartphones and our different things, and we keep going
for
more
our
into the meta
convenience, I
universe for our
think I
convenience.
think as we're not, I think even just the general population, we're not even aware of the technology that is currently available. And some of it's kind of leaked in the last month about just how advanced some of this AI is as far as creating scripts and letters, right? And sales pitches. And if now we can automate it to a speaking voice because of the AI. And so we could have a salesperson that's making sales calls for us all day and all night. Why wouldn't you?
I mean,
Right? As a
look at these
business,
deep
why wouldn't
fakes.
you?
You could have
Yeah.
Tom Cruise sitting here doing your presentation, and it's a fake. That's the deep fake Tom Cruise. I mean, it's crazy what they can do now, and it's literally only going to get better, because think about how like bad some of that stuff was just even in like the 2000s when it was like at its peak, and just how much it's advanced since then. It's everywhere. It's going to keep getting everywhere. It'll be cool,
Well,
but
and
it's going to
Brie,
be
I'll at
crazy.
least say, as far as kind of studying up on copyright law, the tricky part is that copyright law is still so old. We are literally
That's what I'm
decades
saying.
behind where things are at. I mean, even just with music, right? So from right now, you have platforms like YouTube and Facebook that are working out deals with record labels to basically facilitate payment to the people that own the music, because everyone just uses sounds, right? You just easily use a sound and use it for your video, and it's very difficult for enforcement. And it would be silly to enforce and be like, hey, you're using this viral holy or unholy by Sam Smith, right? And we want you to stop. No, they're not going to do that. It makes more sense to monetize and figure out a way around. But copyright law in itself says this is all copyright infringement.
Think about it. They're telling you in it, it's going viral. It's a virus. Like the way that this is all like they're literally telling you what it's doing. The reason why it goes viral is because it's a virus. And it is going through your system, and we can't keep up with it. It's like it's very hard once the virus starts spreading and multiplying and just doing all these things. Like think about how everything spiders out. That's what it's doing. And that's why things like copyright law and these new things like your TikToks and your videos, it's going to be hard to keep up, because once that gets figured out, the next thing comes along. And then the next thing, they're already planning on it to prepare for when this thing gets shut down. No, it's crazy. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So for those of you just filing in, we're having a we're talking about aliens and AI. So in any case, we will be keeping an eye on all of the strangers we meet who could be aliens. All right. So that Orgo, I think actually it ended up working out fine. We will definitely work on getting you situated so we can use your
Yes.
great camera and situation for next time.
I'm supposed to have an amazing setup. If you knew what I have going on here, there's no reason for all that. But I'm glad we have options like smartphones that can do things
There
like
you go. With that all
bring me
being
back on. Thank you guys. I'm checking out. She's got a really cool tip for you guys, but make sure that if you haven't already, to hit like
said.
and subscribe, hit that top bell. If you're watching on any other platform, make sure that you come over to YouTube. That's where we are broadcasting from. That's where we really want to see you guys joining our community. That's where all the extra content goes. When we do these things, you guys are watching them live, and then we take them and then we edit them into these really cool videos and stuff, so you can get more information from them and add-ons. So make sure you're tapped in with those. It's super important.
Thank you, that Orko. All right, driver's seat on YouTube asks, how do you copyright a beat? So, for those of you who are kind of interested in growing your own music businesses, just message me on Instagram, Top Music Attorney, and you can just say like music. And so I know obviously why you're there. And I'll just kind of talk to you about, what I do as far as helping you to build your music business and showing you how to actually copyright your music. It's not that difficult, but it's important that you understand how to do it so that you are doing it every time you have a release and you're making sure that you're protecting yourself and your statutory rights to get fees and all the things. So let's move on. All right, so in my music business segment, and in fact, let's go over here. All right, so in how to build a music business segment today, we'll be discussing how to get your music into TV and films. Okay, if you want to get your stuff into a TV show or into a movie, it's super fun. But this great part of it is that you have an opportunity to be exposed to potentially millions of people. And even if it's an indie film or TV show, again, the exposure, even if we're talking about a few thousand or a few 100,000, from a marketing standpoint, it makes a lot of sense because you are getting exposure. Okay. So we're going to talk about in this section, we're going to talk about all the ways that you can get your music into TV and film, how you're going to do it, the best way to do it. And we're going to use some examples because I have done this working with a lot of people who focus on sync. It's called sync because we are doing sync licenses and we are syncing. Okay. We are syncing audio to film. So if you are syncing any audio to a visual of any kind, then it's sync, and therefore we do sync licenses. And you guys, I mean, I say this when it comes to, having that blow up moment in your career for your music business, you are one song away, you are one post away, you are one DM away. And in this moment or in this example, you might be one placement away from having the biggest, climb in your career. And I've seen this happen. I was kind of doing some research into just some of the biggest times that this has happened. And I'm not going to sing the song because I don't want to get this the copyright claim on the video. But for example, I remember the band Fun. They had a song featured in the Super Bowl, right? And it was a Super Bowl ad, and it was like a Chevrolet, I think, ad. And it was just one of those, you get featured one time and it gets exposed to so many people and your band, your music, it just absolutely takes off. So that's why we're interested in this. So there's basically 3 ways on how you can utilize sync licensing to get your music into TV and film. The first we're going to talk about is or are sync licensing companies. Okay, so sync licensing companies are going to be companies that exist just to try to get your music into TV and film. And it's great because they act as pitchers, essentially. All they do is to, the mic is breaking up. See, that's why we do this live. All right, I'm going to do a little quick refresh because there's a lot of you, and we're just going to start this over. All right, hold tight. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Here I am. All right. Quick audio check. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Quick audio check. Quick face check. Preach, Jonathan. Preach. All right, guys. We're going to start that over because we're going to cut this out a little bit later. All right. It's fixed. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. All right. In how to build a music business, we'll be discussing how to get your music into TV and film. If you want to have your stuff in TV and film, there are definitely ways to do it and ways not to do it. The reason we love getting our music into TV and film is because it's an opportunity to be exposed to potentially millions of people. And we've seen this happen over and over again with artists, not just, new artists who kind of get their big break because they get a great placement, but even legacy acts who will get a placement, it goes viral, and then like 20, 30 years after the song had its big break, there it is again. Speaking of Stranger Things, right? Running up that hill. So in any case, I say this all the time. You're always one song, one post, one DM away from your career taking off and really the potential for your life to change. And that also includes one placement. One really good placement in a TV show, in a commercial, in a movie, maybe even in a game. So when we talk about that, we're talking about sync licensing. Sync licensing is where you sync audio to a visual. Okay, so all those examples, right? Video games, TV shows, all the things. You're basically just putting the music to the visual. So that's what it is. But then, how do we do it? Before I tell you the 3 ways of how we're going to do it, just a reminder, if you are, looking to do this kind of thing and you want some help, be sure to get on my newsletter, topmusicattorney.com. I have a free PDF with all my secret hacks and all the things, and you get on the newsletter that way. So, moving on, 3 ways. Number 1, sync licensing companies. And for some of my clients and students who are able to kind of hit 6 figures annually, some of them do and work with sync licensing companies. So basically, you do a deal with a company that exists just to get music into TV and film. They don't do anything else. The upside of that is that you have someone working for you and focusing on that thing, because that takes a lot of time and attention. The downside, they're taking some of your money. And sometimes it's a lot of the money. Sometimes it's, 50%. Sometimes it's even more than that. So the specific type of deal that you do just kind of varies depending on the company. Okay. But that's what a sync licensing company looks like. We're going to talk about the best way to actually reach out and introduce yourself in the next section of this. But that's number 1. Number 2, as far as how do we get our music into TV and film, we can reach out to music supervisors. This is probably my favorite because I am a very big advocate, as you guys know, of doing it yourself. Building your own contacts, building your own network, and having control over what happens. Because obviously, in the instance you sign with, for example, a sync licensing company, that's great until the relationship ends, right? You don't have those contacts. You don't have the ability to kind of continue things once you are done with that deal. So that's my only concern with that. But if you do decide to reach out to music supervisors, one of the best ways to do it is to just find the contact information based on, hey, I saw this Netflix show. The music in the show is a great fit for what I do. It's my type of music, it's my genre. And then you just Google music supervisor for the name of the Netflix show. And oftentimes you can end up finding an Instagram. You can even find a LinkedIn profile, which is also why I strongly advocate for you guys getting LinkedIn profiles if you're a musician, right? If you're a singer, if you're a guitar player, if you're a producer, have a professional profile for yourself, because you will find that you're reaching out to people to network. And so that's a good way to obviously get yourself kind of seen. But in any case, finding the music supervisor is not that hard, but it's very important how you reach out, again, which is what we're going to cover right after this. And then the third way, as far as how do we get music into TV and film, music libraries. Okay, so a music library is a glorified database. So there might be a platform like Jingle Punks. There's so many. Just do a Google search. But essentially the way it works, you sign an agreement, you upload your music into their database, and then their clients, who might be a filmmaker, will come in, pay some money. They're allowed to do searches, and then they'll be able to hopefully find your music based on keywords that they've put in. The upside, didn't really take that much work for you, right? And now you're just there and you might get an opportunity at any time. The downside is that you are now amongst many fish in a very big sea. And I've done music libraries personally, and I found that I ended up getting some placements. I got a placement in the Olympics, as well as in Dance Moms, which is a very popular TV show. And that was great. But it was funny enough because I got those 2 placements from the music libraries, and then I didn't get anything else from that music library for like 4 years. So it's very much hit or miss, and that's my only complaint. So I would just say kind of, explore all options, see what works for you. All right, so moving on. Then what's the best way to reach out? If you guys are finding this video helpful, please be sure to give it a like. I really appreciate that. So when we're reaching out, you got to personalize your email. Please don't reach out and say Krystle. And this is a different example. It's the last email that I got from a stranger, but Krystle, I'm doing an investment raise and it's for, my music career, and here's all the opportunities. Please give me money. You need to give a little more context and personalize it, right? So in the instance of it's a music supervisor, What show is that music supervisor working on? Hey, I saw you're working on the Lucifer Netflix show. And the type of music that you have in the show is such a good fit. I totally do that. And I think you're great. Here's a quick example of my work. Don't send them 400 songs. Here's one song or two songs or three songs at most. So understand that if you're so lucky for them to actually open your email and click on your link, they only have a little bit of time. So you don't want to send them too much so that they're overwhelmed. So personalize the email. Okay. And that includes if you're reaching out to a sync licensing company. Hey, company, I've done research. You seem to do a lot of jingles. You seem to do a lot of rock. And I do that kind of thing. So therefore, I feel like I'd be a good fit. Or maybe you don't do the thing, right? It looks like you have maybe this area that I could fill. Whatever your approach is, just show that you did like 5 minutes of research, okay? It's going to help a lot. Make it short, get to the point, and explain why you are a good fit for them because of you either align with what they're doing or maybe you fill a gap and maybe it's something that they need. Okay. And, a creative approach that I once saw was that three songwriters put together a company and they started a podcast. And so they put together their own pitching company where they go basically, they're going to build their own relationships with the music supervisors. They sign other artist stuff, they sign their stuff. And then they would have music supervisors come on their podcast. You'd be surprised how easy it is to reach people when you go, I'd love to interview you. People like to feel loved, right? And supported and respected and all those things. And so what they did was actually really, really smart. And so they were able to get a direct in to all these different music supervisors by doing that. So that's just a creative approach. You don't have to do it. But again, just kind of, taking ownership of the contacts and building these relationships for yourself is really smart. Most of you are not doing this as a little hobby that you're going to, do for a year and then you're done. Most of you are doing this because you're passionate about this. You want it to be successful. And so if you're going to be putting in the time anyway, let's do the right type of work to build to the right end goal. All right. Now, special tips. So when it comes to, getting music into TV and film, you have to kind of decide, are you taking your music as is and you're just going to try to get it placed, which is totally fine, right? That works. Some people who decide to really focus on sync licensing make music for film, make music for TV shows. So just meaning they are specifically making stuff that they think is tailored towards, that Apple commercial. So they watch what's going on, they listen, they create, and that's cool. And I know again, people who kind of do this and make that six figures, they are tailoring what they're doing to fit for TV and film. But you don't have to. Okay. Another really good tip, Disco. Disco is a platform that allows you to upload your music so that you say, let's pretend I'm the music supervisor. And I go, oh my goodness, you are a great fit for my Lucifer Netflix show. And I want to have your song in the show. Well, the way it works is that often I'm going to take the song and I need the full thing for this one part. And then maybe there's talking. And so I needed to dip down and I need just the instrumental. So that means I need to have those different things from you ready to go. So Disco is a platform where you can have all the things uploaded already. And so, like I said, that is industry standard when it comes to the sync licensing stuff. So it's a good platform. Check it out if you want to get into it. But then besides having the full version of the song and the instrumental, make sure you have the splits, right? So meaning the stems, meaning the actual rendered out version. So if I say, hey, I need just the drums, hey, I need just the vocals or just the guitar, you need to have that stuff ready to go. Or if you're not a producer and if you've hired other producers to work with you, then you got to get it from them. So this goes to kind of, your ongoing process. Make sure that you are actually getting that stuff when you are done with the song. So be like, hey, here's your money. I need the splits. I need the instrumental. I need the full version. Have all those things ready to go. So you're not having to figure it out years later. Okay. That happens. So besides the instrumental, lastly, if you are doing deals with other people, you're not just making your own music and producing your own music. You want to make sure you have your contracts. Okay. So when it comes to having a collaboration agreement that says, even though you worked with this producer, even though you worked with this other artist or studio performer, you own the music, you need that. because if you get this huge opportunity and Apple Music, or I should say just Apple, right? Apple wants to use your song and they go, okay, cool. I see that there's like 6 people on this song. Do you own all the rights? It doesn't come up often, and they're usually, not going to scrutinize too much, but it does happen. And if you don't have that agreement, or, we don't want you to lie. So we want you to be able to honestly say, yes, I do. I have the agreement. Here you go. Okay. So that's the full kind of spiel over sync licensing, being able to really make money. And then remember, this is one vertical of how we build music businesses to success. And it's something that takes time. It's something that needs special kind of attention, but incorporate it into whatever kind of business plan you have for your music business, for your own career, because these are where we're getting huge money for these pretty small placements. And so that's why I wanted to dedicate time. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like this video, and I will see you on the next one. Let me go back to the chat really fast. What's up? What's up? Jennifer loves disco. Let's see. Great site. A lot of supervisors use it. So you send it to them and they can transfer what they want straight from there. That's exactly right. And in fact, they can even download. So they download it. Maybe it's not a good fit for right now, but they'll have kind of their personal catalog. So they'll have it for later. And now they have all your information. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, cool. All right, guys. So for next week, we may or may not have the show. We have a thing happening. Not this weekend, but next weekend. It's a little, we'll see. Lots of things happening. So we'll see as far as having the actual show, but I'll make announcements as always. Now, I'm thinking on a move forward basis for this year, I'm really liking Thursdays. How is this for you guys? I'm really liking Thursdays. It's 6 p.m. my time, 5 p.m. PST. I know it's a new day. I know it's a new time, and we're kind of making a shift. We're just trying to figure out what works the best, but this seems to be pretty good so far. So in the meantime, we are obviously posting every single day on social media. If you want to check out some of my music stuff, if you're in the mood for dark pop music, you can check out Miss Krystle. It's Miss Krystle Live on all music platforms and social media. And then for the law stuff, I love seeing you guys on Top Music Attorney, particularly Instagram. That's the place where, as far as like if you guys need help with your music careers, building your music business, just DM me there. And then I'll get you information as far as, kind of helping you out. And you can tell me about what you're doing. And then we have a music video we're going to watch. I think today we're going to be watching The Trick is to Keep Breathing by Garbage, which I did. And it's funny. Keep an eye out when we watch this together. Keep an eye out for the scene where I'm sitting on the chair. And I think, I have the yellow jacket coat thing on. So keep an eye out for that scene. We were in a garage. And a girlfriend hit me up over the weekend, and she's like, let's go out and get some drinks, which I don't do, by the way. But I was like, sure, why not? And where I ended up parking was in this parking garage. And so it was kind of nice because I was like, oh, this is where we shot the video. So in any case, we'll watch that. I love your faces. Thank you very much for being on this. And I will be in the chat chatting with you during the video. Let's go.